Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Tim Hankewich from Orchestra Iowa. Back in action again this month.
Dennis.
Hi there.
Good to see you.
You had a little bit of a hiatus.
Right, yep.
But now the orchestra is back, and boy, when you come back, you guys come back big.
We come out swinging, don't we?
That's right. Oh, my gosh.
Well, actually, I'm really excited about this weekend, not only because of the music that we're going to be performing, but there are two announcements that are incredibly consequential for our organization.
Oh.
At the top of the program, we're making an announcement that's probably the most important announcement that's been made since my 20 years of being here, and it will have implications of our orchestra for the next 20, 25 years. So if not even for the music, come for this particular announcement. It's really exciting.
Boy, that's a big tease.
It is a really big tease.
Tim, you're just a big tease.
I am. But it's all about how this community can be a part of this organization going into the future. At the end of our concert, afterwards, there's an after party, and we are inviting everybody to join us, both here in Cedar Rapids during the performance and also in Iowa City at Voxman. Right afterwards, we'll be announcing our next season.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of jam-packed, great stuff on there. So a lot of great things.
And in other news, there'll be a next season. Yay.
Oh, yeah, and apparently there'll be a concert there as well. Yeah, and it's actually one of my favorite concerts. As we know, Easter is just around the corner. And by design, a lot of the music that I've chosen, not a lot of it, all of it, has been rather liturgical in nature. We're featuring Mendelssohn's Fifth Symphony called the Reformation Symphony.
Okay, I don't know much about this symphony.
Well, it's one of my favorites because even though it's number 5, it's numbered number 5, it was actually Mendelssohn's second symphony that he wrote. It was just published 5th in order, but it's one of the most beautiful works in that it's an homage to Bach. Mendelssohn was a huge Bach. In fact, today we say Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms because of Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn is the one who rediscovered Bach, who was little more than a curiosity at the time, and really elevated him to the status that he now enjoys. And so this piece is very much an homage to him, as well as a little bit to Mozart as well, and it tips its hat off to music of the Protestant Reformation. So there's a lot of biblical references. For example, the Bach tune that he uses is a chorale tune or a hymn tune called Mighty Fortress is Our God. And so the work is incredibly joyous, and to me it's an open book of the creative process, how every great composer uses the music that they grew up with and synthesizes it into something new. I mean, it's a tale as old as time, and yet the results are constantly different. Yeah.
We talk about that so much in jazz because you see that with every generation.
Right.
I mean, this is why Broadway tunes of the 40s and the 50s became classic American standards, because jazz musicians heard them as kids or when they were young or whatever and wanted to put their own stamp on them, right up to today, where you have musicians grow up listening to rap and hip hop and putting that in their music.
Well, so there's nothing new under the sun. What is new is how you reinterpret the music of your youth. And I'll even say to our hip hop fans out there, that style of music has been around since the 70s. You know, we tend to think that's a very contemporary sound, and yet that style has been around for years and years and years, and the various styles often incorporate and quote other people's work, and that's exactly what's happening in this symphony. So there's, in this case, a liturgical flavor to it, a Protestant liturgical flavor.
But we've kind of buried the lead because
we buried the lead.
The big story is Mozart Requiem.
The Mozart Requiem, one of my favorite pieces, and that's a Catholic piece. This program will go over great everywhere except maybe Northern Ireland. It doesn't get any better than the Mozart Requiem. And for those who came this time last year to our Carmina Burana performance, or the year before that to the Verdi Requiem performance, people were going away just like with their jaw on the floor about how great this chorus is.
Because this is, I mean, we have great choruses, existing choruses, in our area that you work with a lot, but for this show and those that you mentioned, you've actually auditioned a select chorus specifically to work on this piece.
I've auditioned and personally prepared them, so I've beaten them like rented mules, and they've heard me say that many times, so those who are in the chorus who are listening to this interview are probably chuckling about that, but they are a force to be reckoned with. It's almost unfair how good they are, and it's really great to see the orchestra, their ears perk up when the choir starts singing. And this piece is like 75% choral singing, 25% soloistic singing. So it's great.
For those who might remember the movie Amadeus,
yes.
For many, well, some people, me. That was my first exposure to this, because spoilers for a 40-year-old movie, it's the closing scenes when Salieri is driving Mozart crazy.
Right.
The thing that Mozart is trying to do is to finish this piece.
This piece. It's the centerpiece of the entire film. And in fact, I'm glad you mentioned that movie, because that was the first time I heard it for the first time as well.
Well, sure.
And after I got out of that movie, I went and I bought a recording of it, and I sat there and I wore it out. You could do that back then, because it was on vinyl, and I was just astonished. It was astounding how incredible that piece was, and 40 years later, it hasn't lost any of its power, and so it's a real
200
joy.
and change.
Yes,
not just the 40 years since our first exposure.
But I will confess something to you and to the audience that I also let the choir know after our last rehearsal before we go live with the orchestra. I confessed to them, I wish I was singing this piece. I wish I was up there singing with the chorus, because it's so fun, so satisfying, so athletic, so musical, so dramatic to sing. It is just a feast, and there has to be an audience for this piece because it is so good.
I have a lot of friends in the chorus I bump into. What do you know? Well, I'm singing in the chorus for Orchestra Iowa, and everybody is just so jacked for this and so excited.
I am too. This is so you got to come hear this and see this performance for the Mozart Requiem, for the Mendelssohn Fifth Symphony, which is one of my favorite symphonies, but also for this cryptic announcement, as I said, that is so consequential for the orchestra. And also stick around afterwards so you know what we're performing next year, because I got to tell you, it doesn't stop there. A lot of great stuff happening.
It's going to be a big weekend with Orchestra Iowa. 2 chances to see this: Saturday night at the Paramount and Sunday afternoon at Voxman Hall of Music.
Yeah, that's going to be a real treat.
We just were at Voxman for the Corridor Jazz Project, and it's not that I forget, but I am just always so impressed by the quality of that room and what a beautiful place it is to see and hear music.
It's a beautiful room. It sounds great, and it's perfect for choral singing. So, hey, you would have thought that I planned this or something.
Orchestra Iowa with Mendelssohn's Fifth Symphony and, of course, Mozart's Requiem this weekend. If people want tickets, they can get them at your website, which is
orchestraiowa.org or artsiowa.com.
Have fun with it, Tim, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you then.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.